Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Gathering Storm's weekly radio show. I'm WC from the Gathering Storm blog. And as the music indicates, ladies and gents, cool kitties and cats, we're bringing back the 1930s. And by we, I mean the Islamists, Islamofascists, jihadists, or whoever you want to call those 13th century adherents of a socio-political system dedicated to overthrowing the free world and those who appease and apologize for them. And as in the 1930s, there's a storm of brewing that's headed our way. So each week we review the gathering storm of news and events that the Islamists are using to intimidate, infiltrate, and misinform the free world to soften us up for the coming war. And the war is coming, make no mistake about it. So each week in this time slot, I'll broadcast a weekly storm report on this softening up process and reveal the true nature and not so hidden agenda of countries, organizations, groups, and individuals that supports the Islamist agenda of recreating the Islamic Empire, reestablishing the Caliphate, and imposing Sharia law upon the non-Muslim world.
Yeah, and remember, this is a live show, so you can call in to area code 646-915-9870. That's area code 646-915-9870 for your comments, questions, or just if you want to air your spleen. That number is on my Blog Talk Radio host page, and so if you're listening to the show, you should have that number right there in front of you, 646-915-9870. While you're at it, check out my blog that's listed there, The Gathering Storm, at theblogspot.com, or type in Gathering Storm in Google. It'll come right up, or the Gathering Storm blog. It'll come right up. And make sure you sign up for my free weekly Storm Report newsletter and get a free trial copy of my new ebook called The Gathering Storm right there on my website. And be sure to visit my co-host site, Always On Watch. Her blog is at Always On Watch 2. That's the number 2, Always On Watch 2.blogspot.com. And we have one heck of a neat show for you today. In fact, we're having guests, we hope, from opposite ends of the world, but still our British brethren. One guest will be from the UK and the other from Australia. Our first guest is scheduled at the top of the hour will be Lionheart of the Lionheart blog there in the UK. And he will be discussing the recent failed bombings that would happen in the UK and its aftermath. Then, at the bottom of the hour, our second scheduled guest will be Gravel Rash of Democracy Frontline blog, which is based in Australia. So, do we have Always here? Is that you, Always?
Yes, I am here.
Good, and I think we may have Lionheart on the line.
I'm sure we do. I just talked to him a few minutes ago.
Is this you, Lionheart?
Yeah, am I there?
You are.
You're there. You are.
Hi.
Hello. Good.
How you doing?
Show.
Great, great. I'm glad
I
you're on the show.
apologise, actually, first of all, sorry for missing the show a couple of months back.
Oh, things happen. That's all right. Don't worry about it.
But we got you now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, let's dive right into it. What's going on over there at the UK now?
Basically, well, you've obviously seen the failed bombings. Really, not much. Everything's just gone back to normal. But now you've got a what you could call a damage limitation by the government. Really, basically, that's what it is. Damage limitation. Like the conversation we'd be having now, the interview would be completely different if them bombs had gone off outside the Tiger nightclub. Luckily, like obviously by God's grace, they did not go off because the carnage and devastation that would have been seen after that event, you can just imagine, basically. But really, yeah, not much. Everything's gone back to normal, and the damage limitation is now going on. Don't call them Muslim terrorists. They are not a part of Islam. They're criminals and they're terrorists, that's it. And they're nothing to do with Islam, and they're not Muslim. That's the common consensus that people are being told now.
Well, that's Gordon Brown spouting that drivel, right?
Yeah. The new Prime Minister, who obviously we would have hoped a bit more backbone from. He come out and I saw an article in the Daily Mail actually today, a columnist talking about Gordon Brown's first statements coming out, he tried to be Churchillian with it, which, yeah, that's what we want from him. But then in the next breath to be coming out saying, to be coming out saying that they're not Muslim, basically, that's the crutch of it.
Lionheart, let me ask you this: is there anybody in the government or political leadership or intellectual leadership there in Britain that is willing to discuss the ideology behind Islamism and then be not just not identify but in detail identify it, and then come up with a strategy on how to combat it? Meaning, now that you've identified it, now that you say these are the people who hold these views, you can recognize them by their belief system, by what they say. These are enemies of the state, and we have to go out after them and do something. For instance, they've identified supposedly 2,000 potential terrorists that they're watching in England. Why are they watching them? Why aren't they arresting them?
Yeah, that's right. If they was arresting them, then we wouldn't be having situations like that happened the other day. We wouldn't have had this situation that happened on 7/7. What happens is these terrorist attacks, they're okay. The security services do have successes, of course. You've had the fertilizer bomb plot. You've had the Diran Barrett. He was arrested. 2 cells that he was involved with. Like this. This most recent attack is like a mirror image of what he wanted to do. He wanted to pack similar kind of devices in, what do you call them, the long cars?
Limousines?
Yeah, limousines, yeah. He wanted to pack them with bombs and stick them under the Thames and rupture the River Thames. So these are like, and they wanted to attack nightclubs. So this kind of car bombing is a mirror of that. But these they're just left and watched, and then obviously, yeah, they are arrested at some point. But look at what's happened. The ones that have got through and have got away with what they've planned to do. And no one wants to address the real issues of it. I was watching telly last night. There's a guy called Douglas Murray, very good voice of truth out there, and he was on a show with it was a political show, and it was mainly young people, and they ridiculed him really for speaking the truth, which was quite shocking. And then after that, you had the political show where you actually had one of Bin Laden's brother's wives on there, detailing the actual plans coming out of Saudi Arabia, that their plans are to take over the world. That is the plans of the Wahhabis, about the oil money, and about for the past 30 years they've been pumping Islam throughout the world. And what we're seeing now is the results of that. But what she said is that we are starting to gradually wake up from that. But the leadership don't want to address this issue, because bottom line of it, we've got 3 million Muslims in this country. What happens when we start looking and saying, well, okay, hold on a minute, who are these people? And when we start putting the label Muslim, which they are, you then start to target a 3 million strong force within your country. How do you then deal with that? So no one's really willing or wanting to deal with the real issues of the situation.
What do the average people in Great Britain think? I mean, I talk to people in the United States all the time from all different backgrounds, different political persuasions, and most of them are aware of what the Islamic threat is. But yet from leaders, we see nothing but sycophantic drivel and
pandering.
Appeasement. I mean, do the average people that you know realize how grave the situation is about to become, and already it's bad, but will get worse? Do they realize that?
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all at all?
Not at all at all. No, not at all. The most worrying, I watched, did you see the Undercover Mosque expose?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I watched, I was away at the time and knew that was on. Come back to England, and I thought that everyone would have watched that because of how revealing that was to see what was actually going on within our midst. Mm-hmm. I asked everyone, no one who I asked had watched it, like no one had watched it. One person watched it out of like 10, 15 people. And that was the epitome of what's going on under the surface of everyday life within the Islamic community. Us in Britain, we don't know what's going on in their community because the two communities do not mix. They're two communities that are completely enmity with each other. We don't know what's going on in